It's been forever since we've done this because I'm going to get into why it's been forever. We've had Sweep the League, but nonetheless, we're back. We got a lot to talk about. Primarily Wemby's debut for the Spurs. It was preseason, but how did you react to that? Like, how did you feel with Wembanyama on the court? Didn't get Keldon, didn't get Sohan, but we did get to see him with Devin Vassell and a few other starters. Also, NFL talk, man. Cowboys, all of Cowboy Nation coming on strong until they travel to the desert. They get that L. And then they play against the Niners, who are arguably probably the best team in the league right now. And they get the big L. Are you still on the Cowboy bandwagon? We're going to get on that as well. Of course, whatever else comes up on Sweep the League. It's Rudy Campos. I'm joined, as always, by Stats and the Rock himself, Candice. Candice, congrats. She posted that she has a new position with My San Antonio, so she's busy at work. We're going to let her get settled in. Shemaiah is on the beats as always. Gentlemen, it feels like it's been like a year since we've done this kind of thing, but it actually hasn't. I'm going to get into the reason why it hasn't. We've been kind of MIA for a little bit here, but Rock, Stats, you guys doing all right, man?
Yeah, man. I'm ready to hop back in this. Miss sports, dude. It feels like it's so weird how a little bit of time feels much longer.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Most definitely. I'm ready to get a groove going. I've been super busy with work, and then I just got back from vacation, so I was doing that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The Mile High State, Rock. I saw you were on vacation in Colorado.
Yeah, dude, I gotta go be in the same vicinity as the sorry as Bronco fans.
Well, I mean, it can't be any worse than Cowboy fans. I mean, both
Let's
have
go
hope, I
now,
guess.
dude. Yeah, Broncos have got to be worse right now, man. Broncos Nation, man. Let's ride. Yeah, ride down to the toilet.
Yeah, it's worse than the Cowboys, Rudy.
We'll see. Well, we're gonna do the Cowboy talk later. I'm not gonna worry about Cowboy talk. Let's go with Wembayama here. So, Victor,
Start off with the positives.
yeah. Well, I don't even know how much positive is gonna be out of this, but start with the positive side. We're gonna keep everybody wanting and waiting for the Cowboy talk. But before we get into Spurs talk, hey, special leaf tea, man. You go grab a special leaf tea. I've used it. It's great for health. I actually, guys, I actually gained a couple of pounds, but it's because I haven't been able to do a lot of working out and stuff. So, but nonetheless, I'm still not drinking sodas. I'm still not drinking sweet tea. I'm still drinking beer. But one thing I am drinking other than beer and water is I am drinking my Special Leaf tea. Go out and get specialleaf.com.
I want
Order
to feel
yours
special,
today.
Rudy.
You want to feel special. Yeah, I know you want to feel special. Everybody wants to feel special. Drink Special Leaf tea. I wonder if Victor drinks Special Leaf. He probably has to. He's got to make sure his body is in extreme shape, for the upcoming NBA season. But they opened the preseason up in Oklahoma City. They unfortunately get the L, 121-122. Oklahoma City comes on top. The first thing that hit me, guys, is we're seeing the new age Bill Russell, Wilt Chamberlain matchup. I mean, is that even any way to disagree with anything on that? Because seeing Victor and Chet go back and forth, I kind of liked it. I'm excited to see this rivalry between these two guys. Victor finished with 20 points, 5 boards. Chet finished with 21 points, 9 boards. What are your thoughts, man? When y'all jump in here, give me your thoughts. I'll give you mine in a little bit, but I can give you a little hint about it. I'm impressed a little bit. I'm a little impressed. I'm a little more impressed from what I saw about Victor. But for you guys, what did you think about the Spurs opening preseason night? Victor Wembanyama in the silver and black.
Big Rock, you got this? You want to start?
Yeah. So I think the one thing that I took away from it is no matter how the season goes, it's going to be really fun watching the Spurs again. I mean, you have Victor just looking crazy out there. He's like not really necessarily a freak of nature. I mean, a lot of people say that, but it's just like, it just feels so unreal watching it. We'll see what he does. I mean, the one play that stood out to me is when you see him get beat on a crossover and he still recovers enough and he just swats it. I'm like, dude, like, how does this guy do it? Or, another play where he just, swats the ball out of a defender's hands, on top of the elbow, and this guy's on a breakaway and he gets a dunk. I'm like, we're just going to be seeing this the whole game. It's just something you haven't seen before, in such a long time. So I think it's going to be super fun. Seeing him go against Chet was really fun to watch, and it's going to be fun for years to come, barring none of them get hurt or whatever. But it's going to be super fun just to see what the Spurs are going to be, looking like this year. The one guy I'm looking forward to watching other than Wemby is Devin Vassell. I always love Dev's game. I just want to see that, hopefully a full season without him, barring getting any injuries. So it's going to be really fun, nonetheless, just to see the Spurs again.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun season. I'm looking forward to Malachi Branham. I've been saying on Locked On Spurs, good friend of ours, Jeff Garcia, that Malachi is that six man. He's gonna be the first guy off the bench, and he's gonna prove that he deserves, major minutes, and especially be in there in crunch time. I love Malachi Branham's game. There was a reason why he should have been a lottery pick in that draft. He fell to the Spurs. Huge blessing for the Spurs. Watch out for Malachi Branham. Stats. What do you got on Victor's debut? Were you impressed as all of Spurs Twitter was at Victor Wembanyama with the up and under, on one move, he was on a fast break, he played good. I'm not gonna lie, he played good. Didn't really shoot the ball great from 3-point range. Didn't expect that. 2 of 5 for 3-point range. But still, what I liked about him was that he played the post really, really well. He was able to get to the basket. He played down low. That's something that I really want to see from him this season.
Yeah, for sure. I thought he looked good too. And like you mentioned in the post, he looked even better. Taking advantage of his size, that's the big thing. I noticed there are big men out there in the league that don't seem to take advantage of their size, and they just get comfortable, just hanging around mid-range or, outside of the paint. But no, he's a big guy. Like, he should take advantage of his size and his wingspan. As Rock mentioned before, you could see him swiping the ball and causing steals and turnovers for the Spurs, and he's very active on defense. And like you said, the up and under, that was very impressive. It's good to see him aggressive in the paint. Very reminiscent of how Giannis really helped change his game when he started getting more aggressive and assertive in the paint and just storming down the court. And it was good to see Wemby get that, because that means he's confident. He's only going to get more confident in his abilities to just storm down the paint and just assert his authority and get those close-up shots as well. And he doesn't have to shoot threes. Like you mentioned before, his 3-point shooting wasn't that great, but I hope that he takes advantage of his size and he realizes how much of an advantage he has as far as his wingspan and his length, because he can cover a lot of space. And that alone is, the advantage that he has on the court and on the floor. So I hope he doesn't have to overthink things. He doesn't feel like he has to do extra in areas that he doesn't have to focus in, and he just has to be himself. My biggest concern with him, and I know you wanted to jump into concerns here later, is his potential health. He gets air when he jumps, man. And and this is nothing against his effort. I applaud him, for going up in the air and trying to swat everything out of existence. And of course, that's also the youth coming out in him too. He wants to, you feel unstoppable. You feel like you can do anything. You can fly as high as you want. But I'm just a little concerned that one of these days he's going to land wrong on another player's foot or on his own and maybe roll an ankle. His frame still looks pretty light, and he looks like he could just fly. Maybe that's why he gets a lot of air when he jumps. I noticed when he was going into the paint, he's got long leaps and he just flies. It seems like he just glides when he's in the air. Mm-hmm. And that air time is a little concerning to me because of how big and tall he is. I'm just worried that he's going to have one bad step and it's going to cause foot or leg injuries. And for big men, that's usually doom.
Do you think so? Is health the main concern for Victor this year? Like, top priority? That's everything that everyone should be worried about, is his health?
I think so right now, because it's like year one, he's got time to grow and develop, and that's as time goes by, and that's where the player development, I think, is going to really come into play, and we start to see just like how good of a player he really is, depending on that growth, that internal player growth and his improvement. But I think for year one, for me, it's going to be about health and the ability to stay healthy and on the floor.
What are the expectations for the Spurs going into the season? Let's start with Rock on this. What are the expectations, Rock? Not what give me what you feel they're gonna do, but what's your expectation of the season? Because like I said, you see Victor one game. I mean, you still see everybody, oh my God, this is, I guarantee the playoffs. And we've had some guys podcasters and some media guys that are just like, they're going to make the playoffs. They're going to, they're going to at least guaranteed to make the play in, but they're a playoff team as the way they are and all that. I've never bought into the bull at all.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your expectations?
My expectations, or are you asking, what's the expectations itself?
Give me your expectations. I kind of already know what the expectations from the fans are.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations is, I'm not, in the happy road and the perfect road. They make the playoffs, and I wanted to see them win, which is, great. You're a fan. When you're a fan of a team, you grew up watching, you want to see them win. Like, winning's the best thing they can do. But my expectations is that they're going to learn about who they really are, who's those pieces that they're going to be for the future, and who's expendable. I think they're going to, grow. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, but you're going to see a lot of growth. Pop kind of, hinted at it that, last year was about learning, but, this year's about winning in itself. So you're really going to see, which player is going to take those leadership roles and kind of be those stepping stones and just those cornerstones of the team itself. I mean, you may see some of your favorite players become expendable and get moved on, and that's just the reality of how basketball is. I mean, you see a player that's better than another, then they move on. We're going to see who's ready to take that leap, and just going from there. But I mean, when, if you ask me record wise, I think kind of talked about it with you and Mark for the season, and I think I mentioned about 36, 38 around there, which is fine. I mean, but I'm not, expecting them to be road beaters. Like I said, it's going to be a fun team to watch, and you're going to have wins and losses, and you're going to, of course, regardless of the outcome, you're going to have Spurs Twitter and Spurs fans, complaining about here and there, but it's going to be more exciting because of Wemby and, that environment that he's bringing, that energy. It's going to see, more exciting. You saw it in the, in the Spurs scrimmage. It was practically the whole stadium was full. It's just that energy he's bringing, and I'm just super excited just to watch him and the whole team grow together.
But do you really see, I mean, does he really add 14 to 16 more wins from last year? I mean, can this Spurs team really get to 36, 38 wins? I'm being dead honest. I'm being dead serious on this.
I mean, combined with him and, the guys like Vassell and Keldon and some of the other guys who, were in and out of the lineup, I think we see those I think that equals 14 at least. I mean, this team is still years still contending, and if they become a playing team or borderline playing team, that wouldn't surprise me. But I just feel like those players combined with Victor's just natural talent will give itself 14 wins. But if it doesn't, I mean, that's just, a higher pick for the Spurs itself. But I mean, I'm not going to judge the season based off wins and losses as most people do. I'm just going to judge on seeing who's really, growing to that next level score, that next leader, who's, expanding the game. One thing is, are we going to see Keldon? What's his new role? Is Keldon even going to be in the starting lineup? How is he going to adjust to his new role? Is Devin going to take on more of a leadership role and, average 20 or more a game? Is he going to, make that contract worth it and played it out? So we're just going to see, what's really going to happen. It's going to be really interesting, lineup wise, what Pop's going to throw out there. Is Trey Jones going to start? Is Shohan going to start at point guard? Or are they going to, kind of just do 1 through 5 where there's not really a true point guard? So I'm just excited because I feel like the possibilities are limitless for what the Spurs itself.
So the first 20 games of the season, I think 16 are against playoff teams from last year. So you've only got Houston, I think Indiana are the only teams that didn't make the playoffs in the first 20 games of the year. That's kind of that's going to be a really test right there for the Spurs coming out the gates. A lot of these teams are different. They open the night against Dallas. I mean, Can they beat Dallas? Legitimately, probably so. Dallas to me isn't, as great of a team as a lot of people have them on paper. And they play Houston. Houston's up and coming. A lot of young guys there. It's a very winnable game, though. Very winnable. But then you got the Clippers, Phoenix back to back, Toronto, who it did take a step back. I will say that. You have Indiana, who's not a playoff team or a play-in team either, but again, very athletic team. Then you kind of have that murderer's row. You go to New York for the Knicks. You've got Minnesota, Miami, OKC, Sacramento, Memphis, Clippers back to back, Golden State, Denver, Atlanta. Then you got the Pelicans. So you're talking about a very rough stretch early in the season. Would Spurs Twitter hit the apocalypse if they go off and they're 5-15 after the first 20? I mean, is that going to show like basically man overboard? We need lifesavers out right now.
I'll let Mark answer this.
Yeah, I can definitely see people overreacting to this, to like a 5-15 start. But I mean, the thing is, like, even before Victor was there, this Spurs team was like showing their energy and their passion. Like, these guys were staying in games.
Yeah,
last season.
good point. Good point. They really were.
And that alone is going to help them like get through some of these games. They may not win them, but they can stay competitive and maybe like, maybe not the entire game, but they could stay competitive through most of the game until maybe the closing minutes or the last 5 minutes of games where, the stars of the other team just start doing their thing and pulling away. But this team is feisty, man. You throw Victor in there too, and the excitement and the energy he brings. I could definitely see this team winning like 30, 34, 35 games.
So you've got them right around that plus 10 more wins, 10 plus more wins.
Oh, yeah. They have that passion. They got the energy. They got the youth. And you brought up the Indiana Pacers too. And like the thing is, like, yeah, there are these teams that are not that good or they're not close to contending, but they've got a lot of young players that are, just got a lot of fighting spirit in them.
We're gonna probably have to do a whole new show on y'all guys trying to convince me because I can't see that 34, 35 wins. I actually have them on the high end around that 35 to 38 range. And I'm talking playing balls to the wall. They're just clicking. They're on fire. I can maybe see him get to that 16 plus win mark. Is that going to be enough for a play-in spot? Probably not. I think last year was what, 39, 42 wins got you into the play-in spot. So I think they still are out of the play-in spot if they can get to 38 wins. But that's kind of the stretch for me, 38. 38, maybe 39 is the absolute max for me. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I am wrong. But on paper, the team is the team we've seen years after years, with the exception of Wemby. Look at the breakdown of the team. Devin, health-wise, he hasn't been healthy. We haven't had a full, healthy Devin yet. Keldon, strong start out of the gates. He tends to falter as the season goes on. He needs to stay consistent the entire season. Sohan, we saw bits and pieces of him last year. We saw some good games. We saw some not so good games. But we're seeing the improvement on him. Can he take the next step and be more of a focal point? You still have questions at point guard. Trey Jones is not a playoff point guard. They should have made a move somewhere to get a natural point guard there, a true good point guard there. But Trey will get you to where you need to go. He's like Dak Prescott. He's going to guide you there, but he's not going to get you anything more than what you can accomplish. Then you've got Malachi Branham. That is the key for me is Branham this season. If Malachi balls out off the bench, he's going to keep the Spurs in a lot more games than we may give them credit for. You got something, Mark?
Malachi for 6 men?
I think so. And
you think he can win the award?
I think so. 6 Man of the Year award if he continues to come up. But, I mentioned to Jeff, a part of me thinks that if you see Devin go down with injury or Keldon, I think Malachi steps right into starting. I think he really is a starter in this league.
Yeah, quick question.
Yeah.
Regarding Devin. Do you think it was a good idea to give him the big contract now?
Yes, I think so. Because
100%.
yeah, you look at the contract, man. I mean, very team friendly contract. If for whatever reason he needs to be a part of a deal, like for a trade for, a legit superstar or something, that is a very good contract that can be traded. A lot of teams would take that contract in a heartbeat because it's very team friendly. But I really was excited to see that they did sign him. When Devin plays, he plays good, man. He's probably their best player, 100%. Is probably their best player when he plays. But we got to get that whole season of Devin in, that whole season, because he's probably going to be one of their, probably, well, not even one. He probably is their best two-way player. I think Derek Gervin, we were on 9:30, on the air, basically, on the radio, we were saying that Devin reminds us a lot of Scottie Pippen, man. I mean, two-way player, lengthy, can play defense, can score, can just do a lot of little things there that we really, really like. So yeah, I love the contract part on that. But nonetheless, man, I mean, Spurs season is here. It's upon us. I think you guys are fighting for that 35 to 38 wins, like y'all said. Y'all, that's what y'all are expecting. I I don't take a lot into preseason. I don't know if you guys do, but for me, preseason is preseason. I don't expect Victor to play the last couple of games in preseason. I think they're going to shut him down. No reason to just let him go out there and play in preseason. It's preseason for a reason, man. It's not, doesn't really count for anything. So we'll see what happens. We'll talk more about the Spurs on other episodes here. What do you got, Mark?
Way to be positive.
What do you mean positive? I am positive.
No, I know, it's just funny. You're like, preseason doesn't count for anything.
It doesn't. I mean, preseason is preseason. Honestly, preseason is, let's just get out of this injury-free type season is all it is, man. I mean,
right. No, I'm just busting.
Yeah, no, and no, I get it. Because if you think about it, if you have him in for the last couple of games, those are the games where you're bringing players in trying to make the team. So they're going to play hard. If you've got Victor out there and they're going to crash to the floor for a loose ball and they crash into his leg, that's like, nah, man, you should never have done that to begin with. So I think, like I said, I think that's why we're going to see him, probably a lot of the Spurs, be shut down for the last couple of games in preseason, maybe the last 3 in preseason, because you don't want to get an injury right off the bat, dude. That makes no sense. And it did scare me. Before I move on, it did scare me because of the way he was playing against Oklahoma City. There was a couple of moves and I'm like, ooh, please be careful. Please be careful, man. This isn't Europe. This is not Europe. The game's quicker, and it's a little more reckless in the NBA than it used to be. So, I mean, not used to be, but it's just a little more reckless. Like you see players doing more things that you didn't see in the past, and that can cause a little bit more of an injury right there.
Yeah, I feel like that's also where the health concern comes in. I feel like he moves around excessively when he doesn't have to.
Yeah, he's trying to do too much. Is what it looks like sometimes. Trying to do too much. Well, one person that is trying to do too much is good old Dakota. And we're going to get into the Cowboy talk right about now. Rocky definitely was, I can see him throwing his finger. Yeah. But before we get into Dakota, I got to remind you guys about Special Leaf Tea. SpecialLeaf.com. Order your tea today. You want to feel special? Go grab Special Leaf Tea. I don't know if the Cowboys are special, Rock. They've got, and I remember quoting it, they've got a Super Bowl defense, but Dak's got to be elite. And I got some throwback on that because he doesn't have to be elite. He just has to, not make mistakes, and he doesn't have to, he has to guide them. The guy can't even guide him on the offensive side. And I'm gonna give a question to you guys in a little bit here, but as Cowboy fan, Rock, because you're the only one that represents Cowboy fandom here. The Falcons blow. The Buccaneers are eh. As Cowboy fandom goes, are you worried about these next 4 games? Because I mean, you got actually the next 3 games because you already got your loss against the San Francisco 49ers. I said this 4 game stretch is really important for the Cowboys.
I mean, yes and no in a sense, because I mean, San Francisco was the toughest opponent that they had relatively. I mean, Chargers. The one thing that gets me, not too worried is that their defense is not that good. Horrible defense, but then their offense is pretty good, and so it may see a shootout on Monday night. It's going to be really interesting to see what Kellen Moore does to the Cowboys defense. It's going to be a tough game.
Do you think the
But
Chargers win or the Cowboys win? Just give me a flag.
honestly,
I know you're picking the Cowboys. Go ahead and pick them.
I think the Cowboys win, but the next 2 games are going to be it's just the Eagles always have the Cowboys number 2, and then you got the Rams. But
Do not sleep on the Rams.
No.
these next 2
definitely
games,
not.
honestly, I can see the Cowboys go. I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys go 1-2
Which one are they winning? The Chargers?
This Monday, and then losing the next 2.
Man. You
Is
got a
it
lot.
panic mode if they lose to the Chargers on Monday?
Oh Lord, dude, we're gonna hear. I mean, you already heard we want Trey Chance in San Francisco, but I mean, it's gonna prove a lot this season. And I think I talked to some of my friends about it. This is Cowboys coming in. Before all the injuries happened and before all the talk happened, this was the year that they're putting most of the chips all in. Paper. They have a talented roster, and this is gonna be a year telling of what Dak's gonna do and what McCarthy's gonna do. So. They both go down. You may see a lot of changes, but I mean, I don't even know how they would move on from Dak. There's a lot of things that are wrong with the team beyond Dak itself. But I mean, I
You
don't even know what's
can't
going to be.
move. Like, you can't move beyond Dak. You signed him to that damn
No,
contract.
no, that's not. No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know how physically possible it is. Like you just literally can't move on that contract. I think dead money wise, you try to cut him, you're going to be looking north of 40. I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah.
40 mil to be exact, not $40 for everyone who's listening.
Well, no. So here's the deal. If you move on from Dak this season, your dead cap space is $61.9
Yeah.
million.
Yep.
If you move on from him next season, you're still in dead cap space of $36.4 million.
Yep.
And that's the reason why that old Skeletor looking owner, Jerry Jones, continues to say, we believe in Dak. No, you have to believe in Dak because you're paying this trash can of a quarterback all this money. I mean, he's garbage.
They put all their eggs in one basket.
And Dak's, beyond football, Dak's a really good guy from what we've seen, really good guy. And I know no one, obviously hates him.
Yeah, there's no hatred.
No, and I just feel so bad because, I mean, obviously you're going to get more of a bigger spotlight when you're the Dallas quarterback, but, mentally just all this pressure that goes on him. I mean, yes, he needs to, change his turnover. He needs to get rid of them. Yes, I get it. He needs to move the ball more efficiently. But I mean, there's also other areas that need improvement. I mean, the offensive play calling was horrible. I mean, you just saw it out there. I don't know what Mike McCarthy's calling. And then the running game was just atrocious. I get it. You're playing San Francisco, but good Lord. I mean, you didn't really see anything going. And then you can really see the Trayvon Diggs absence is really showing. But I think beyond that, the biggest thing that's hurt Cowboys for as long as I've been born is their damn defensive line. They always say it's the best thing ever, and it gets exposed every single game.
Well, their defense is still, I mean, even without Trayvon Diggs, it still is capable of winning games. It's still capable of winning.
It's still pretty good, but it's just with this game, the offense just did nothing. They fell behind. The defense got exhausted because they were always out there. I mean, the defense needs help, man. Like Dak's being carried. He really is. He's got all the pieces to succeed. It's frustrating. I don't blame all these Cowboys fans for being like pissed off. They should be. It's absolutely frustrating. And it's like okay, like you're stuck with Dak. Why didn't they just bring in a guy like I don't know, like Dak can use his feet, right? Like, why didn't they bring in a guy like Greg Roman to have designed run plays to, get him some yardage on the ground to help spark something on offense that where Dak doesn't have to feel pressured to make that accurate throw all the time?
I don't know. I don't know. And this is the point. Now again, I'm reiterating because I did go on a little tangent there. I'm not a Cowboy fan. I mean, I'm only a Cowboy fan by marriage, but I mean it's true. My wife's a Cowboy fan. If I want to stay married, I gotta at least smile when I hear about the Cowboys. But I have nothing against Dak Prescott as a person or anything like that. And I'm gonna just say it. Dak in another system may be really, 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 really good. But this is the question that I'm posing to you guys. When it comes to the failures of the Cowboys, because I'm not going to blame the defensive side of the ball. I'm not. If you can't score, your defense is going to say, fuck, F it. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't cuss no more, but F it. They're going to say F it, throw their hands up. Well, if you can't score, then you know what? What the hell are we doing on the field? It just gets tiring after a while. So is it the coach / offensive coordinator, or is it Dak? Now I ask that because if you give McCarthy a McCarthy style quarterback, which what are we looking at? Favre, we're looking at Rodgers, primarily Rodgers. I mean, you saw the success he had with Rodgers, and of course, when that whole offense was, just spiraling down too, it was McCarthy that got the axe. And I get it. 95, 96% of the time, it's going to be the coach that gets the axe. But if you gave McCarthy a McCarthy style quarterback, are the Cowboys a better team? Or do you say, by Mike, let me get a coach who can fit Dak's characteristics and traits? And if you can, what coach is that? What do you think, Rock?
I think it's a mix of both. The way I see it is, look at Brock Purdy. Talent-wise, would you say Brock Purdy is more talented than Dak Prescott? Like, honest opinion.
Athletic-wise, or
just in general, just pure physical talent, gifted talent. Is he better than Dak Prescott?
Outside of accuracy, no.
So the way I see it is, you have a Brock Purdy who was the last pick in the draft, and it's working in San Francisco because of the scheme. Kyle Shanahan is arguably one of the best play callers, if anything, to some people are the best play caller in the league.
Unless he's in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. And he has a lot of weapons, around him, a plethora of weapons, insane what he has. But I think you need to find a person in a scheme that fits what Dak to hide his limitations. I mean, look at Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is looking like a road beater. He had people chanting that he's the MVP. And, he has an elite defense and he's getting the job done, but it's just like, it's not making it so difficult what he's doing. He's just getting the ball to his playmakers. That's his primary job. And, that's obviously everyone's primary job, but once in a while, as a QB, you got to improvise. But I mean, it's the scheme and the play calling itself, too, that you got to look at it. Yes, one of the way I see is those two picks were on Dak, obviously. One of them, God, you can say it's on Dak, but Gallup it was a horrible ball, but that's just the most random ball that goes up, and that's a pick. But it's just like Dak's forcing these things, and once he makes one mistake, I just feel like it looks like he gets in his head, and he just keeps trying to force things. Yeah, you're trying to make a play, but it's just like, come on, man. That play calling has to also help Dak in itself. I mean, like you said, the play calling wasn't there, and the defense can only do so much. We're lucky that we didn't see the San Francisco score 2 more touchdowns on the Cowboys. It could have happened, but they didn't. So I think it's a mixture of both. Yeah, I just don't know who that right coach is. Maybe you see something in the offseason. But if you ask me if next season, if the Cowboys didn't make the playoffs or they got knocked out first round as someone was going, it's probably going to be McCarthy. And we're going to be looking at another coach for the Cowboys.
Why aren't they making a call to Minnesota? I mean, you're getting basically dirt cheap, I guess what money when it comes to Kirk Cousins for a 1 year rental. I mean, I'm already banging on the New York Jets, doors and windows for them to make that call to Minnesota. I mean, I think the Jets become a legitimate playoff team if they were to get a guy like Kirk Cousins. But, somebody like Cousins, and I think Stats is the one that brought it up. Cousins, to Dallas is, I mean, it
Game
makes
changer.
sense. It makes
Game
sense.
changer, man.
He gets, and what's weird is Cousins has, what are they, like number 2 in offense or number 1 in offense? And on defense, they're like number 2 or 3 on defense. There's no way the Vikings should not be at least 4-1, or 5-0 at one, something like that. There's no reason why. I can't answer that, but Stats, you brought it up. Cousins to the Vikings. I mean, Cousins to the Cowboys. It's like you got to make that call, right? If not, what do the boys do? I mean, who does that blame go on, in your opinion?
Well, I would like for them, for the Cowboys' sake, to make that call, but because and this goes back to your question about whose fault is it? It is, of course, I think, like what Rock was saying, it is a combination of both their fault, McCarthy and Dak. But for the sake of the financial situation the Cowboys are in, I think they should roll with Dak, but just bring in a different coach or an OC that has a scheme that is fit more for Dak's like abilities. Again, like he used to run around like using his feet. Like they could have a coach come in and help him utilize, the ground game for him and like have these design plays that would open up a whole other branch of play calling and different options that they have on their offense instead of just being so stale and forcing Dak to have to throw accurate throws all the time and adding so much extra pressure on him. And it would also help the run game as well, on the ground. Pollard, because we know how explosive Pollard is, and we just haven't been able to see that because of the stale play calling. So honestly, man, I think just because of Dak's deal, the Cowboys are probably stuck with him for a little bit. And I don't think they have to make a call. But as far as the coach, McCarthy should leave at the end of this season. I mean, no matter what. I think either way, even if they make the playoffs, McCarthy's out. He
So
should go.
it's Super Bowl or bust for you then when it comes
Yeah.
to the Cowboys
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
McCarthy.
Yeah.
So who comes in? Because, I guess Vegas money says Dan Quinn just moves right on up. But then you're back to, okay, who's going to be the OC for that team? Who can you get to be the Dak whisperer? Because Dan Quinn is straight defense. We all know that. He has no idea what to do on offense. So who could you go get? And you can't go get, an Eric Bieniemy. I mean, he's not available. You can't just go convince Sean Payton, or even Sean McVay, hey, Sean, unless you get fired, we could use you in Dallas. I mean, you really can't. There's not very many guys out there that are going to come to Dallas as an OC that are going to turn, this whole offense around. So at what point does it get put on Dak? I mean, he's got the receivers. Don't tell me he doesn't. He's got a running back Pollard is not Christian McCaffrey. He's not anybody like that, but he's legit. He can get the job done. He's got a defense around him. He's got one of the better offensive lines in the game.
Yeah, top 10.
What more do you have to do to this guy? I mean, Jesus Christ, when my daughter was growing up, I didn't have to, help her this much. That way Jerry's helping, Dak out. It's pretty bad, man. It's pretty bad. So, Stats, these next couple of games, they lost to the Niners. They got 3 games: Chargers, Rams, and Eagles. They're already 0-1. What is that 4-game stretch for you? So you got basically 3 left. So give me that 4-game record now that they're 0-1. What are they doing in the next 3?
Oh boy. I think they will pull out the game against the Chargers. It's going to be close though. And it's kind of interesting because it's really a game between two teams in disarray right now. We could probably talk a whole show about the Chargers, but so I feel for all their fans. But yeah, I think the Cowboys are gonna pull it out there. They should beat the Rams, but again, they're close. All of these games are gonna be close for the Cowboys. I don't think they beat the Eagles.
Not in Philadelphia now.
Yeah, they're not going to beat the Eagles. Thankfully for them, they have the Giants after that, so they should beat them.
What if Dable has that whole Giants team just rocking and rolling by then? Then it's like, oh, great.
I doubt it. That team is looking like a disaster right now, too.
Yeah, they've got a lot more issues than the Cowboys have. So what do you got them? What, 1-3, kind of like what Rock has? Or 2-2. I mean, you sound like you're leaning towards 2-2.
Yeah, they're going to be really close games, though. That's the thing. So even in these W's, the Cowboys can't get too cocky, man. They should take these W's like humbly, man. Like they have to really look at themselves and who knows, maybe they blow out the Chargers, maybe they blow out the Rams. I don't see it happening, but even in W's, they have to look at these games and realize where they can fix their issues.
Look back at their 3 wins. The Giants. We've seen enough of the Giants in 5 weeks.
Yeah, they're not good. They're not making the playoffs either.
The Jets with Aaron Rodgers, that's a different game. That is a totally different game with Aaron Rodgers. So then they had Zach Wilson that week. I mean, again, with Zach Wilson, the Jets are who they are. They are who we thought they were. The other win was against New England and Mac Jones. Again, New England is not an offensive threat. They're not going to put up points. Belichick doesn't have the personnel he's used to having. I mean, there's just a lot of things wrong in New England.
They're not even a threat right now.
No, not at all. So their losses come against Arizona, which, Rock, you can attest to this. It doesn't matter who the quarterback in Arizona is. It doesn't matter who is on the team for Arizona. Every time they seem to go play in Arizona, it's usually a loss for the Cowboys, whether it's a block punt, whether, it's Joshua Dobbs just, kicking their ass. It's whatever. I mean, it just seems to me that the Cowboys tend to lose in Arizona more often than not, even though I know they don't. It just seems to happen that way for whatever reason. So then they got the Niners. Those 3 wins they're like preseason wins, man. It's like, meh. They're like, okay, you won. You beat teams that you were supposed to beat. It should have been the Cardinals, but physicality, I mean, just the 2 games they lost, Dak just didn't play good at all. Am I expecting that to change with the Chargers? We both said, I mean, it's an offense against a defense. And then it's, a sputtering offense against a sputtering defense. One of them's got to give. One of them has to give. Do the Chargers have more weapons, like as many weapons as the Niners do? That's the question to ask. Do they have more weapons, as many weapons as the Niners?
I think the one big telling thing is that Austin Eckler's back.
Yeah.
That's going to be, one thing to watch. And you have arguably a top 10 receiver coming back too, and Keenan Allen. He was kind of hampered up, and he's going to be the main focus since Mike Williams went out for the season with an injury. Watch out for Josh Palmer, but I mean, Kellen is going to be licking his chops knowing what he's going to be calling.
Exactly.
You're playing a way better quarterback, arguably the best quarterback you've played so far this season, and Justin Herbert. So, yeah.
So is it wrong for me to feel that I think I'm going to stick with my prediction of 0-4 on this 4-game stretch? I mean,
yikes.
I get the Rams game, but when you've got Matthew Stafford and he's a gunslinger, and you said, okay, Matt, we're going to give you Cooper Kupp back. And we saw Cooper put up numbers this past weekend. Oh, hey, Matt, not only did we give you Cooper Kupp, we drafted you probably the hottest rookie in the league right now in Puka Akua. And, oh, by the way, you need another receiver. We got Tutu Atwell as well.
Oh, yeah. You know that guy who was sitting behind Cam Akers? Yeah, we'll start him out there, too.
Kyron Williams is balling. This Rams offense is balling.
It's crazy. RIP to my RIP to my fantasy team today because I traded Puka Nakuya, but it's okay.
And that's the reason why, man. Their defense is not like it's not a great defense, but let me see where they're ranked on the defensive side, the Rams. But I
Dude.
feel like it's a
Dude, all of these Rams like pieces surrounding Stafford are young too.
yeah.
Like, I mean, I know Cup is like what 31 now.
The guy
He's
couldn't
thir-
remember their name, remember?
Yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, I mean, Stafford should better darn well know his name now.
Dude, the Chargers are giving up 300 yards a game through the air, 104 on the ground. They're second to last in defense.
They just traded J.C. Jackson too.
And they just traded J.C. Jackson. But yet they're number 5 in offense, like killing it on offense. So if there's one game that I think the boys win, it's probably Monday night. But I just don't have a good feeling about that Monday night game, like at all. I mean, coming off of a Niners game that you just did, I know you're pissed off and all that, but I mean, the Chargers, if the moment the Cowboys score, who'd say the Chargers aren't going to come back and score right back on them? It's going to be, I think it might be a shootout, to be honest with you. And when you make Dak, when you have Dak in a shootout, what happens? He fucking fails a lot, man. Interception after interception. I mean, the guy said he won't have 10 interceptions this season. I mean, he's got 4 already in 5 games. He's on pace to get, what, 13, 14 interceptions this year? Yeah, it's going to be a good game on Monday night. We'll see what happens, but I'm going to just say that my gut tells me 0-4 on these 4 games, but my mind is telling me 1-3 just to be conservative. If they go 2-2, then I think the Cowboys are a little bit better than what I'm giving them credit for, but I just don't see it, not in the stretch at all. Before we go, man, Special Leaf Tea. Be sure to go to specialleaf.com, grab your Special Leaf Tea. You're going to feel special. Definitely, specialleaf.com, grab your Special Leaf Tea. What's been going on, man? So, a little bit of life stuff going on now, just so everybody knows. We haven't been on the air for a little bit here. We took about a week, maybe a week and a half off. We're going to get back into the swing of things, but we're in the process of buying a house and selling our old house. So we're trying to get all that going. That's kind of why I've kind of been non-existent on social media. We've kind of had to put the show a little bit on the back burner for a couple of days here, maybe a week or so. Just got a lot of stuff going on. Rock's got, a lot of work going on. Same thing with Stats. We're all busy, but me personally, I've got getting a new house, so I'm moving as far away from the city as possible because I loathe San Antonio a lot now. Rock knows for a fact because he works in the newsroom.
Yeah,
and he sees all the shit that goes on. So that's my thing. I'm gonna have you guys over for sure. So I'm gonna try to do it on the Dallas bye week, so there's no crying anywhere at the new house.
Hey, Rudy, speaking of news, I can do my personal news breaking cast that deals with sports that we may talk about next week. For the first time in postseason history, we are going to witness the Astros versus the Rangers in the ALCS for all baseball fans here.
Who do you got winning?
Ooh, you can't go against the Astros, man. Astros have a history, but it's going to be one of the biggest series they ever known a man, and you're going to see so much chirping between fans. It's just, I don't know, man. Rangers haven't been here in a while, but I got the Astros in 7.
Astros in 7? Huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Stats. What do you got?
Astros.
Astros. He's going with Astros. Well, you know what? I'm gonna go different. I'm gonna go Rangers. I know my wife's an Astros fan, so she's already making me smile for the Cowboys. I don't have to smile for the Astros. I mean, she only is in the marriage agreement that we've got. I'm only supposed to cheer for one of her.
Is she a fan of sign stealing?
I think so. I mean, she has the same mindset as me. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. So, I'm gonna
Okay, Eddie Guerrero.
gotta get a bit of Latino heat right.
Yeah, I'm gonna start calling you Latino.
I'm gonna go for the Rangers. Just, I mean, to me, honestly, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it doesn't really matter at all. It's Astros Rangers. You're gonna have a Texas representative in there, so needless to say, man, I'm not gonna sleep on a Diamondbacks Phillies NLCS. If that happens,
Uh-huh.
wow. I
Dodgers
mean,
are down right now 4-0.
yeah, and they're not looking good at all. At all. And the Braves, as hot as they were, I picked the Braves to win the World Series, and that's looking terrible as it is right now. So definitely a lot of good sports going on. We got tons of good sports going on. NBA's about to start. Cowboy season's already over. You've got the October is, basically upon us, and we're gonna have some great MLB playoff series coming up here. ALCS, NLCS coming up soon. Can't forget Desmond Ritter is terrible, so we're just gonna leave it at that. But then again, I had higher hopes for Desmond, but I also had higher hopes for Kyle Pitts. Arthur Blanks, just basically, trade everybody. I don't care. Even Bijan. Trade Bijan.
At least you'll have Bijan making highlights.
Yeah, but highlights don't win you Super Bowls. The highlights don't win you games. I mean, this isn't the N1 mixed tour for, NFL. I don't
It made
care.
you look cool, Rudy. You know that catch was cool.
That catch was cool, but again, hey, we did get a win over the Texans, so that's always a positive. I gotta look for positive somewhere in there. And wait, I need to check something before we go. Let me check something real quick here. Yeah, we have the same record as your Dallas Cowboys.
There we go.
That's pathetic. That's pathetic right there. Stats is 3-1, his team, because he's a Buccaneers fan. You can't win, you can't lose if you can't play, right?
Baker Mayfield, most improved player.
Highly doubt that, man. Don't get stats going on that, please.
I'm gonna get him going. I'm gonna get him riled up to think the Bucs are gonna make the Super Bowl.
All right, man. Well, we're gonna cut this episode of Super League off. Like I said, baseball postseason, Astros, Rangers, ALCS. It's gonna be a great postseason baseball. Spurs season is underway. We'll talk more Spurs when we come back on. NFL, obviously going into week 6, it's going to be fun, unless you're the Cowboys, where you're going to go lose in the sun come Monday night. Hopefully, that way my 0-4 streak continues with this 4-game streak in between. But for Rock, for Stats, it's Rudy Campos. Until we sweep the league again next time, we'll see you guys soon.